Alright, so complimentary of us going over Bhima, you know we had to come back around and do his cousin Duryodhana and get his side of the story. So when it comes to Duryodhana, he's one of the main antagonists of the epic Mahabharata. He is one of the sole reasons that their family went to war in the first place, and while he did start off with humble beginnings, these days he's often known for his deceptive nature. So how do we get here? Going back up from the top, you have a dispute between two sides of the same family, that being the Pandavas and the Kauravas. The Pandavas included people like Bhima, Karna, Arjuna, so on and so forth. There was 5 main brothers. And then you had the Kauravas. This is the side that Duryodhana was on. He's actually the oldest son, the firstborn son of the Kauravas. And by the way, he has 99 brothers. So there's 100 of them. The main portion of where the dispute came from is the fact that King Pandu passed away. He was the one that was over their kingdom, the Kuru kingdom. When he passed away, Duryodhana's father was the one that ended up taking his place. So Duryodhana naturally was the one that was supposed to be in line for succession. He was the prince. The thing about that is his father was blind, and with him not being able to properly judge the situation, the only natural order for him was to pick the person that was older. So what he ended up doing was giving Duryodhana's position to the eldest son of the Pandavas, his cousin Yudhishthira. So for the longest time, Duryodhana felt like he was done wrong from the beginning. And it didn't help that his cousins, a good bulk of them, were demigods. So he felt like they were being treated better for that reasoning. It also didn't help that when the families did finally come together, you got people like his cousin Bhima would just ridicule him. Now Duryodhana was skilled and he did have blessings, but he was no demigod. So when you got people like Bhima, who's looked over by the wind god, he would often bully Duryodhana and his Kaurava brothers. Bhima would knock them out of the trees, he would suffocate them when they went into the water because they simply couldn't do anything about it, and he looked down upon them. And Duryodhana's brothers weren't demigods either, so they couldn't do anything all the same. So this hatred that he had boiling inside for his cousins only intensified when they got together. And then it got to the point where Duryodhana's uncle Shakuni came up with a plan. They were going to conspire to get rid of the brothers, and he started first with Bhima. They tried to poison him, but this ended up not working. And not only did it not work, but Bhima came out even stronger than he was before, as if the gods themselves were trying to spite Duryodhana. Another incident, you had his uncle kept pushing the scenario. This time he tried to burn all the brothers while they were in the house at the same time. This also didn't work because they were warned by the gods, and they were blessed again with a wife. All of them were given the same wife by the name of Draupadi. So on top of them surviving, they all had a new girl that they shared. Considering how drastic the situation was, the supreme commander for the Kauravas said that they should split the kingdom down the middle. So one side went to Duryodhana and the other side went to the Pandavas. You would think that this would clear everything up, but still Duryodhana was not satisfied, and it really shows his descent into how greedy he actually was. Adding on to that, the eldest son of the Pandavas did a ritual that helped his side of the kingdom flourish like never before. So to Duryodhana, it was almost like a competition. It was like rubbing it in his face. And at a time when he came to visit their side of the kingdom, he fell into a puddle and they all started laughing at him. Defeated, demoralized, he couldn't take it anymore. By this point, him and Shakuni said that they've had it. So they invite the Pandavas to a dice game, one that they couldn't refuse because of their obligations. They invite the Pandavas over, and the eldest Pandava is forced to gamble against Shakuni in a dice game where he bet his entire side of the kingdom, and the Kauravas bet theirs. He bet his brothers, he bet their wife, everything. Unfortunately, this was a scam from the start. Shakuni was playing with trick dice. They were magical, so no matter what happened, he was going to win anyway. And that's exactly how it went down. And as a result, the Pandavas ended up being exiled for 13 years. They weren't allowed to be seen whatsoever. And this gets even more detailed, but that's the general idea. And if they were seen, then the exile will be double. So now the Pandavas, especially Bhima, have have that same level of disdain as Duryodhana had for them from the start. So with them out of the way, Duryodhana is finally able to take the place on the throne as he's always wanted. Here's the kicker. The Pandavas rightfully serve their sentence to being exiled. They serve all 13 years. And when they come back and try to get their fair share of the kingdom, Duryodhana said, I'm not giving you nothing. The Pandavas were saying, we'll take the smallest amount that you have. And Duryodhana said that I don't even want to give you that. And this is what kicked off the Kurukshetra war, the war between the two sides of the family. It was Duryodhana's inability to get over what happened in the past. It was him trying to match all the years that he felt like he's been held down. But his envy would later be his own undoing. Now remember how I said Draupadi, the one wife that all the Pandava brothers shared, was one of the things that was bet in the dice game. The moment that they won, Duryodhana told his brother to drag her by the hair into the throne room, because now that they've lost, they don't have the authority. She's not an actual person, she's just mere property, and he does so accordingly. And then when he drags her in, you have Duryodhana patting himself on the thigh and telling her that's gonna be her new seat. She tried to refuse, and they started to strip her naked just for pure humiliation. And at that point, the overseers had to step in. So from that same incident, Bhima swore that he was gonna break that same thigh that Duryodhana was patting, not just for humiliating his wife, but his people all together. And this is why it was so fitting and also poetic that in the final days of the war, Duryodhana and Bhima ended up having a one-on-one. Everything was on the line. One thing about Duryodhana is that he is a good leader, and he's also a good fighter. He served as a great commander. Just like Bhima, he's extremely skilled in combat, and he's a master at using the mace. Again, they learn from the same person. But to take that even further, the person that taught Duryodhana, Balarama, claimed that he believed that Duryo was unrivaled in terms of using that weapon. And this showed in his fight against Bhima. In their fight, he was actually getting the upper hand against Bhima. Bhima couldn't do anything to him. And this is because while Bhima is a better mace user overall, he's never fought against somebody at the same caliber as him. He always relied on his strength, so he lacked the conditioning to deal with somebody like Duryodhana. On top of Duryodhana being extremely equipped, he was also really agile. In fact, Balarama word for word said that he's lightning made into flesh, and he's the one that taught them both. So something I quickly want to point out here, in Duryodhana's kit, he's only D rank. So we already see in this class he's been nerfed in terms of speed. But all those things that he had done in the past were starting to catch up to him. I mentioned before that Duryodhana has had many blessings. One of them is that he can make the top half of his body as hard as diamond. And considering the fact that they weren't allowed to fight below the waist, there was no way for Bhima to get in on him. However, this is when Krishna got involved. In the past, when Duryodhana did what he did to Draupadi, Krishna revealed himself to the entire court and blinded everybody with his godliness. But Duryodhana refused to recognize it at that point and just pushed Krishna's warning to the side. Now you have Krishna telling Bhima, hey, it's okay to go below the waist. So Bhima does exactly that. He breaks both of Duryodhana's thighs, and that's how Duryodhana ended up meeting his demise. Even Krishna's brother tried to step in and say, hey, you can't do that. And Krishna told him, you see all the stuff that he's done? He gotta pay for that. And his brother couldn't even say anything because he knows it's true. So yeah, you reap what you sow. It's unfortunate that he went down that path. It's often said that Duryodhana really cared for his family. He did as much as he possibly could for them, but it was often intertwined with his own twisted sense of justice. And this is what makes this part so interesting, his relationship with Karna. Now remember I said Karna is part of the Pandava household. However, he was abandoned at birth and treated like a child out of wedlock. So instead of being raised with the Pandavas, he ended up being adopted and raised by a charioteer. When they reunited, they looked down on Karna because of his outlook, his background, and the way that he cared carried himself. But Duryodhana didn't do this. He always had a lot of faith in Karna, likely because he saw himself in Karna, that same younger person that was treated unfairly for things that were completely out of their control. So when they were holding a sparring competition between the two sides in front of the elders and he challenged Arjuna, they tried to block Karna out from participating just because he lacked the social standing. And Duryodhana was the one that came out and said it's not about the birth. And he used one of his own blessings to make Karna a king and have him match Arjuna's social status. Nobody was aware that Karna's godly father was Surya, at least at the time, and their bond even grew to a point where he had Karna serve as his commander and he was his favorite one. They were just that tight. And when Karna passed away, Duryodhana mourned him more than his own siblings. Ashwatthama fought on the side with Duryodhana as well. And if you look at Duryodhana's phantasm, you can see the both of them among the rest of the 99 brothers. It's really fire. Fate-wise, he's shown to be above average in parameters. In fact, the only thing that was bad was his agility. For his personal skills, he's got a B, an A, and an EX rank, all of which is very good. And then you got his phantasm coming in at an A. As far as how good he should be, based on his background, he should be at least upper mid tier, maybe even low high tier, depending on how you look at it. Like I said before, he does have favors. His A rank look is a really good nod to that, but he's not a demigod like his cousins. He's just a human. If anything, I would compare him more to like a Knight of the Round Table. He's just a really skilled human. He also should have an invincibility buff. Kind of funny coming off the back of the Immortal video. I've seen a lot of people complaining about him and Bhima's classes. Again, I'm in A and the story is just rolling out on JP, but it appears that from a story standpoint, their classes have been swapped. The way it comes off, he should be the Lancer and Bhima should be the Berserker. I think that was the whole point.